The Channel 2 News Hour continues.
Gone but not forgotten. For many, the holidays are a reminder of time that we have spent with loved ones who are no longer here. And for one of our own here at Channel 2, this hits very close to home. Victoria Taylor shares with us how an artist in Girdwood is helping keep the memory of her mother alive with a special Christmas keepsake.
Christmas for me, like most kids, has always been a special time of year, and that's mostly because of my mother, Angela. Each year, she transformed our home into a winter wonderland. It was completely over the top and absolutely wonderful. The Christmas decorations would start going up in September. From floor to ceiling, no room was skipped. There were nearly 60 Christmas trees in our home. Yep, you heard me right, 60 trees. We practically had everything but a real reindeer. From the day after Thanksgiving until Christmas Eve, every night my mom would open up our house and give tours to anyone who wanted to stop by. I was usually dressed as an elf or baking cookies to hand out, and even my mom's dog Mystic got in on the fun. It's no wonder my mother loved Christmas so much. She was born on Christmas Eve in 1969, and the running joke in our family was, since my grandmother brought her home that night and put her next to a tree, it was the first thing she saw and fell in love with. My mom was an incredibly talented floral designer and decorator, and she had this incredible smile and goofy sense of humor. But she also battled depression my whole life. When the alcohol addiction set in my later teen years, things got really dark, and eventually she lost her spark. My mom ended up committing suicide in January of 2013. She was cremated, and for the past 5 years, I haven't really known what to do with the ashes. But that was until I found out about the work that Darby Andrews is doing down in Girdwood.
So you can see here, you can pick your colors. Any color variation is possible. And then ash is added, and all the white in the ornaments here is the ash, the cremains.
I kind of like the shape, the one that's a little bit heavier on the bottom.
Heavier on the bottom,
Yeah.
kind of like the teardrop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I like that one.
Started with pets, and then you know, friends started passing, so I would offer to make a pendant or something that they could keep close to their heart. And so I offered to make a little jar for someone, a little urn type thing, and that's when the pendants and stuff kind of came out of that. Tried playing different mediums and actually trapping it in the glass as opposed to something that had a lid. All right. Thank you, Great Spirit, for this day of creation, this day of service. Oh. Would you like to come open Mom up? I'm gonna take a little bit here. I found sometimes it's easier just to grind some up than to try and sort. This one will stay that color.
That's perfect. Purple is kind of a no-brainer because that was my mom's signature color. It's what she was known for, and she absolutely loved it. She would also partner it with just loud, obnoxious green, and green also represents mental health issues, which she did, mental health awareness, and she certainly did have some mental health issues.
Put lots of love and light into it. Depending on if the colors are on the outside of the tube or on the inside, that adds a lot of time to it. It's hard to say because I don't keep time in the studio. I work until I'm happy with it, and I don't think about time. Time is irrelevant in the studio.
It's cool to be part of the process too, you know?
It's pretty powerful, man. It's pretty powerful. You know, being entrusted with somebody's loved ones remains. Treat them with respect and try to, you know, when I make a piece of tubing for something, for a project, I'll use all of it, you know, on that project.
It's the perfect way to honor her because she wanted to be spread in the ocean, but I just wasn't ready for that. And now I can do that for her because I have something that's gonna help me, and, you know, I'll be able to remember her that way.
Once that glass starts to glow, you can see it start to stick in there. Some heat all the way through to the center. There it goes.
Because Christmases were just like, they were so special to us. And, you know, as dark as things got in the end, the Christmas memories, that's how I remember my mom. And that's what I want others to remember about her. And so for me, it's the perfect way to keep that alive.
All right.
It's perfect. Thank you so much, Darby. It's perfect.
You're welcome.
I did not want to do this story because I feel like as journalists, we're not the story. But the reality is that I do know what it's like to lose not just someone to suicide, but your parent. And for me, I would hope that I would be able to help someone else who may be going through that as well. Because it sucks, but your life doesn't end with theirs. And there are ways to carry, you know, the good memories that you have from them. And you can take those with you.
Excuse me. That story certainly needs to be talked about. Victoria Taylor is here tonight. Victoria, why did you decide to share this with us?
So, Rebecca, for me, this was very much part of the grieving process. And it's sort of, you know, it's been 5 years now, and I think I've come to terms with a lot of the guilt that I was carrying around. And this gave me a lot of closure in doing that. And I really do hope that others can see, like I said, that, you know, your life doesn't end with theirs. But for me, that was just my experience, and there are so many ways to grieve and so many resources available, and we wanted to talk about those. So joining us now tonight is Eric Boyer with Stop Suicide Alaska. Eric, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Victoria, for having me.
So Eric, one of the things I would like to ask about is something that I personally struggled with, was that challenge of recognizing that those warning signs were there, but how could I have helped? How could I have convinced my mom to get help?
Yeah, and it's pretty common for people to not even know those warning signs, but if they do know the warning signs, if they see somebody who's struggling with life, to just know it's okay to talk to them. One of the biggest hurdles for us to overcome is that when we see somebody struggling with mental health issues, with physical pain, we sometimes don't want to get involved. But the best thing for us is to get involved. Just ask somebody how they're doing and to stay with them, let them know that you care. And you might have to tell them that multiple times a day, every day, but that's what it takes sometimes to be able to help support somebody.
In a lot of ways, it's that persistence of just continuing.
Persistence and being there for them. And also know that even if you could have, Victoria, have known some of those things, it takes more than just one person. When somebody's struggling, especially when they've had depression for a number of years, having a group of people, a team, community really pulling together and looking out for each other.
Eric, you and I were chatting before the newscast also about, particularly here in Alaska, you think it's smart to encourage gun safety. Let's talk about why, and in relation to suicide.
Yeah, in relation to suicide, nationally in Alaska, majority of suicides occur with a gun. And guns are not a foreign thing in Alaska. It's a part of life here. So just know that guns should be locked up. We can get gun locks for free, multiple sources online from local state troopers, the Veterans Administration. But also know that if somebody in the home is struggling, let's just keep the gun safe somewhere else. Have a plan in place before somebody's at that point. And just know it's a way to support each other, and you get to have your guns when you're feeling good, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. And so last thing I wanted to ask you about, just really quickly here, warning signs might not always be so crystal clear.
That's right. Is that fair? That's fair. And sometimes somebody will verbalize that they want to die or want to kill themselves. But more commonly is what we call coded or hidden clues. And I think one of the best ways is when you see the context, you know, the context of somebody's life, and something out of the normal is going on, something that you put your finger on that they feel a burden or don't feel like they belong, and they're doing things out of the normal. And that's when we just need to be assertive, jump in there and say, how you doing? I just would like to help you. Let's go out for a cup of coffee, bring them a meal. Just be there, spend the night at their house to support them so they don't feel alone or isolated. Those are kind of some of the action steps that we can take at a community level.
All right, thank you so much for your time tonight, Eric.
Thanks for having me.
And just as a reminder for everyone who may have jumped in halfway through the interview or would like to go back and watch my story, we've posted a link on our website at KTUU.com, and those videos will be uploaded after this newscast.
Very powerful story, Victoria. And we will be right back.